you guys for tuning in, and I want to acknowledge you guys for being here and taking time, and excited to hear your questions.
So great. Hi, thanks, Louis. And we dive straight into the session. And so this is the fifth session. Just to take off from what Louis mentioned, this is the fifth session, and we have completed passions and belief. We've gone to visions. We did the big why, which is the ikigai, if you remember. And last week we had the 12-week year, and there was a great introduction to that. So today I thought I'll take it into a different direction, and it is somewhat of my expertise. It kind of ties into all this, and it also forms a good bridge to the next week session on gratitude. So I just thought I'll do a quick session on mindfulness. So I'm a mindfulness certified trainer, and just thought I'll give a quick view on how we can set our mind right, because all of the passions and belief will go down the drain if we don't really get into the here and now. So this is a very quick 10-minute overview on what is mindfulness. And if you look at the definition of mindfulness, it's actually very, very simple. And if you take a pen and the body of the pen, you can take it as your body, and the lid as a mind. And most of the time, the lid is on the pen, but not really. The lid many times keeps going around and then comes back, and it goes around and comes back. So mindfulness really is the art of keeping the mind and body in one place, intact, like a lid of the pen and the body of the pen itself, both in one place. And this is actually done through very simple methods to ensure that both the mind and body are in the here and the now. And the methods are quite simple, which the first of the methods, that you can follow, and you can actually follow it even now as we speak, because it's something that we don't need to take time off. So you normally keep, you can just keep following the breath, and there are times you get distracted, and then you bring the focus back. So you follow the breath, and you can't do it for some time. It'll go off, and then you keep coming back. And if you do the cycle even for a few minutes, you'll feel a lot of relaxation, a lot of focus, that you can get even to your work, the work that you're doing, the visions that you're setting, the businesses that you're, trying to envision for yourself in 2020. It's critical that we really get into the breath pattern and ensure that, you're not distracted and focused. So before we go ahead, I thought I'll show a quick video, which I found very interesting. And let me first stop sharing this. And I'm going to share, which is right open. So I'm going to start. So that's something called as social conformity. I hope you could see the video. And these are things which affect us on a day-to-day basis. It's very interesting that people, we think that we're not being programmed, but we are actually programmed by a lot of things around us. We call it peer pressure, we call it environment, we could call it conditioning, but they keep kind of affecting us. So it's important as we move ahead to try to identify these patterns and see if we can do something different. And actually, once we really identify the patterns, that is a good enough way in which we can try to break free from the pattern. So this is actually a good learning for us to try to break free from various patterns that we have. What's your thoughts on this before I do the last small thing on the Iowa gaming class? Deborah, you have something to say?
Deepak, I was just going to say how disturbing that is, and how I can relate to that on so many levels. And just as parents and looking at our kids and how we were programmed as children and working through the subconscious mind, it's very, that video is very, very, very powerful. Thank you for sharing that.
And good.
I will have a question at the end if you have a technique on how to unprogram yourself, especially for the not so good habits like the distractions, the sabotages, the avoidance behaviors, just specific to business. Obviously, your business and your personal life spill over, and there's duplication in both. How you do anything is how you do everything, but I'd love to get your thoughts on that if we have time.
Sure, sure. I hope we have time. I'm just going to give one final thing on something called as the Iowa gambling task. And this is basically it is a game which was invented by the University of Iowa, and they gave 4 decks to groups of people, and they told them to choose, from these particular decks, and there were 2 bad decks and 2 good decks. So eventually, after 10, 20, 30 cards, people started to realize which is a good and which is a bad, and they started taking only the good decks. So it was quite simple. They had some sort of a philosophy. Let's say all kings, all aces, all queens, all jacks are the good ones, and probably the lower ones are the ones with the 2s, 3s, and 4s. So the red ones is what they filled up with more of the lower decks, and the green ones with the more of the higher cards, etc. But of course, the participants didn't know it, and they did this to various sets of participants, and they tried to understand, when do they realize which is a good deck and which is a bad deck, and which is when they came across a stumbling. It was a group of psychologists who tried to do this, and they wanted to see the psychology of people. But they realized that at 50 cards, people did have a hunch. When they pick up 50 cards, they had a hunch which is a good, which is a bad, and that's from the gut. And at around 80 cards, they really understood exactly. They understood which is it. Now, this is not the surprising part. This is quite understood that people will understand when people when which cards are good, which cards are bad. But the beauty of the whole thing was that at 10 cards, the body knew. The palms used to sweat. At the wrong cards, which means your body knew which was the right and which was the wrong, but you never listened to it. And it was only you're using a mind. It's only at 50 cards or 80 cards that people started, kind of understanding the logic. And this is why this Iowa gambling is it's a very famous one, although it was not meant to have this particular result. It is now a famous tool in mindfulness. It was actually meant for something totally different. It was meant to identify people with the right mindset, or with a positive mindset, etc. But something totally different came out of this entire picture. That each person's they have a lot of intelligence within the neurons within them, just like that person mentioned. And it's very early that you can really understand what exactly is running through you. So your body does speak, and your body does refer to you. So with this, actually, I mean, a very short one, and I know I'm running out of time. So I'll open it up to questions. And in fact, the first question that Louis had, if I'm not mistaken, was how do we really, as entrepreneurs or businessmen, try to break the patterns? And I think the first step of mindfulness is awareness. Awareness that we are caught in the pattern. And once the awareness is there, it's only then we can try to break ahead, off the pattern. So that's the first point that I wanted to mention. Let me just shop this scare.
Deepak, I have to laugh that they did that in Iowa because I'm from Iowa. We're very easily conditioned.
Wow, that's amazing. so so two things that we saw, that was the first was, of course, social conditioning of the mind, and the second, what I wanted to take you through was the Iowa gambling task, which was meant for something different, but it kind of gave a lot of insight into how the neurons in the body and the gut, how they work, and how we sense this. And mindfulness is all about that, being in the present moment, In fact, Sugam is online when he'll talk about yoga, etc. So it's all about being in the present moment, the body and the mind, right here and now. And it's only when that is there can we be aware of what's going around. And when we are aware, it's only then that we can see if we are being conditioned or not conditioned, and then we can move ahead into the next direction. So this is something quite powerful, which people have used, and which I thought is important to share. Moving from beliefs, passion, vision, I thought I'll take it to a different twist, and before the next week of trying to understand how we can take it ahead. So we have 10 minutes more, and just thought I'll check with Lisa, Lucy, Deborah. What are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, feel free, guys. Even if you can't speak or come off mute, you can send your message into the chat feature. And I want to make sure you guys get your questions asked, because I could ask like 5 different questions right now. It's just I'd rather have you guys get your cup filled and your answers to your questions.
Sugam, you want to add something from your yogi experience?
Yeah, sure. It will be my pleasure.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. So hello everyone. So like as like Deepak was talking about some this conditioning and all. It was really a very good video. I really enjoyed that video, and it will be helpful for us to demonstrate so how the people get conditioned about the things. So in yoga as well, we talk about chitta vritti. That means like once we habituated, it's like with something, or can say like if something get like influencing us, it become like it become part of our life, and consciously or unconsciously, we are just doing because the other people are just doing it. So we in yoga we talk about the consciousness, like how much we are conscious. Either it's about your body, it's about your behavior, it's about your mind, your thought, and even it's about your emotions as well. So, like the practice in yoga, it starts from yam niyam, asana, pranayam, pratyahar, dharana, dhyan, and samadhi. This is the system in yoga. If you will follow this in a sequence way, like we start from the yam and niyam, because in yam only it's talking like we are talking about like the discipline what we have to follow, and as well as like our awareness about like what we are following. Is it really good for right now? Like it is really good for the present scenario or not? If it is, then we should have to do it. Other, if not good for present scenario, we should not follow it. So it's all about first start with the social discipline, and then start with the self discipline. When the social discipline and self discipline is like like both discipline is for us only. If really it is helping us to improve ourselves, improve our consciousness to the next level, then we have to follow it. So while following this system in the yoga as well, it's talking about like being more conscious. Be more conscious about your body, as Deepak was talking about. Like body tells you, and you have to listen it. Seriously, it's happened. Like when you are attending some, if you're doing some asanas or whatever, like you're doing pranayam, even this way also you can experience yourself in your body, what are the part of your body and how your heart is beating even. So you can sense it, you can like you have to open your senses as well. So really, like with the help of yoga, you can go through this part. But yes, mindfulness and your awareness is really more important. Otherwise we get conditioned with these things, and we just follow the others, and it's really consume our energy. It's consume many things like that we can use for our real development. Thank you,
Wonderful,
Deepak.
Sugam.
This is
Wonderful.
what I wanted to
So, in
add,
fact,
and
a
thank you.
couple of yeah, good. Thank you so much, Sugam. Sugam is an expert in yoga from the Bihar School of Yoga. So, in fact, I just got a couple of questions about awareness, and I've just replied back there that awareness, as per mindfulness, is very powerful. It's a tool, a very powerful tool. Like Sugam was talking, the inner consciousness, can then take over and move in the right direction. And of course, once you are aware, or once you begin to be aware, beyond that, of course, begins the process of meditation, which can alter your subconscious things which are deep rooted in yourself. So that's where it is. And I'm seeing the third chat which is coming, reflecting and journaling and slowing down. Yeah, perfect. So
That's what I was going to add, if I may, Deepak. I know for me, becoming a mom radically changed my conditioning, and I had to work through a lot of mindfulness, and it took me a while to adapt. And then life throws you a lot of curveballs, and maybe you can speak on that when I'm done here for a second, because I know some of my team members have had some major curveballs lately, like, you know, I could give some examples, like a death in the family could be traumatic, a car accident, multiple surgeries. You know, you're on one course and you're focused on that course, you're mindful on that course, and then boom, all of a sudden life happens. And I think trauma, we've talked about this before, any kind of trauma and or triggering of past life stuff can really shake you up so much that you lose your path, you lose your focus, you lose your course. So how does someone bounce back from something like that?
so in fact, I just put in the chat also. In trauma, acceptance is the key. It all boils down to acceptance. And a lot of trauma, you know, when you go through trauma, it's the non-acceptance which leads to a lot of pain and suffering. So you have to somehow get into a state of acceptance. It takes time. It takes rejuvenating. There are a lot of techniques in meditation. It takes a lot of rejuvenation. It takes a lot of cleansing, a lot of subconscious healing. But slowly but surely, you know, acceptance is something which kind of sets in. It can set in day one. It can take 10 days, it can take 5 years, it can take 10 years. You know, there are people who don't accept throughout the life.
Is everyone, are you muted? Make sure everyone's muted, Deepak.
Oh yeah. So any accident, yeah, I heard, you know, what you mentioned. A lot of people go through multiple things, and all of us, you know, have gone through a lot of you know, things in our lifetime. But slowly or surely, it all boils down to acceptance. You know, are you accepting the present? And again, you know, that comes to awareness. Are you accepting the current moment in its entirety? The body and the mind in the same place. Very easy to say. Let me be very frank. It's very easy to talk all this, but is there a system of tools and practice, you know, that you can really use, and you know, you can cleanse yourself? So there are a lot of techniques in which you can cleanse your heal your subconscious, you know, slowly cleanse it out and come to a state of acceptance. And of course, you know, I'll try to talk about it in future sessions, you know, slowly but surely. But it all boils down to acceptance.
That's awesome. And it's a perfect segue into what we're going to talk about next week, along with acceptance, is gratitude in the moment. Gratitude is a mindset. And there's a great quote that I just saw yesterday in my BNI meeting, guys. You'll appreciate that. And it says, excuse me. Keep talking, but Deepak, I need to get some.
Yeah. So next week we're going to handle gratitude. And I think I just thought it'll be a good bridge to gratitude, you know, the first session of on this particular thought. But I just thought anybody else wants to say something or chat something, you know. Lucy has been quite quiet, and anybody else wants to say something around?
Yeah, I would like to add something.
Sure, Sugam. Tell me.
Yeah. So like overcoming on these things, like so talking about the acceptance. Yeah. So there is a there is a philosophy in yoga. It's called, like, when we are talking about our past or something like bad that is really affecting us on our emotional body, because yoga is always talking about your physical, mental, and emotional. All the three coordination is really needed. So if we are working on our emotional body as well as the physical body can help you out, through doing some asanas practice. Like there is a sasankasana practice. If you do sasankasana practice, it's work on our pineal and pituitary glands that really affect, like activating our all and regulating our all the glands to make you healthy, so that it will be easy for you to overcoming on this part to for like for if you are trying for acceptance. Maybe you emotionally you are not accepting it because it is the only barrier. It's not allow you to accept those things. But while doing this, if you can take care of your glands as well, while practicing yoga and asanas and pranayam, it will be easy for you because they define our rishis define this the steps, like doing asanas, then pranayam, then mudra one, and meditation. So these are the steps that really build a basic base for doing powerful meditation, doing powerful cleansing. For example, if you are cleansing like before, like it's called, if you can take it as a pre-cleansing process or pre-cleansing practice, like doing this, so you will be more boost, you will be more powerful before practicing it. And there is a concept called Gehna Karmanogati. There is a book, I was reading it. So in that only the philosophy was like they were defining about this law of karma. So how we can define like law of karma, this prarabdha and all. So there are some few concept. If we understand the concept and practice accordingly, then really it is very helpful for us to go through these things and we can get the best out of it. Thank you.
Wonderful, wonderful. I mean, amazing, because Sugam is an expert in the yogic techniques, and it's great to hear his wisdom, into these things. But yes, various ways. But you have to somehow come to the state of acceptance. You can use amazing yogic wisdom from the ancients. Awesome. It's like it's great, to have it. And it's the modern day trauma that we don't know how to utilize this. But if you see all the sessions, meditation, yoga, or mindfulness, it starts with the focus on the breath, and that's kind of bringing you to the present. You breathe in and feel the breath going to all parts of your body. You feel it exiting out, and then from breath it goes to watching your emotions. Like he was trying to say, trying to watch your emotions, trying to then go further and watch your being. So it's we try to become an observer. And I was just seeing some of the comments that Ashley mentioned. So you have to try to become an observer of yourself. This, I mean, all this is all leading to that. So it's
And if I can add one more thing, Deepak, and then
please.
we can wrap it up. The key thing for Ashley and any of us, including myself, is when in doubt, reach out. If we withdraw, if we focus on what we focus on expands, and no one succeeds alone. And asking for help, being transparent, and sharing where you are at. I've been doing that a lot the last several weeks. I've even reached out to Deepak and said, hey, this is where I'm at, can you help? And he brought me through a meditation exercise on short notice. And that's what friends are for. That's what peers are for. That's what coaches and mentors are for. That's the community that we want to create and support and provide for you guys. And you're super fortunate right now. We can handle and feel and have a more personal connection in this moment. Once we get to, hundreds of people, we won't, but we'll figure that out as it grows and expands. So always reach out. Always reach out. You can definitely breathe and do the meditation and the yoga. And if those tools aren't, helping you move forward or have that mindfulness in a positive, healthy, supportive way, then reaching out is what I have learned is the game changer for success.
Wonderful, wonderful.
Awesome. All right, guys. Well, thank you guys for staying a couple minutes over. We're super grateful for you. We want to again acknowledge you for taking the time to be here today, and look forward to seeing you next week on American Thanksgiving Day and hearing more about how mindfulness is working. And next week will be gratitude.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Deepak.
Have a great day.